name is Prox. I'm 32 years old and married. My husband, Justin, is 35 and works in an office. I'm a freelance fashion designer working from home. My work was unstable with many small assignments in the beginning, but I landed on a big project with a large paycheck residency. It gave Justin and I an opportunity to move into a high-rise luxury apartment. Since I was the one who wanted to live in such a place, I agreed to pay the monthly rent from my own pocket. Justin was quite delighted to live in the lavish apartment that I thought we had a happy future ahead of us. I'd never imagined what was to come next. One day, Justin brought his mother, Betty, back to our place.
Hi, Melly.
Hi, Betty. It's been a while. What's going on?
Well, she wants to live with us, Justin said uncomfortably. Hey.
Why?
To my surprise, he explained that our house was getting too old and wanted to move to a better place.
Oh, I see. I understood. But to be honest, I wasn't too keen on it. I believed that our place was a comfortable nest for the two of us. Betty, whom I hadn't had much contact with, was like a stranger to me. I felt resistance to having her with us.
Please, her house is tattered. About that versus occurrences, who knows when it starts falling apart. Use water with fattest. I'll urge her to find a small but new place as soon as possible.
Okay. I assumed it was just for a short period and reluctantly agreed. Betty moved in a month later.
Thank you so much for letting me stay in such a fantastic apartment. Most further.
Satishny problem? Played quasi Christiansik herself at home. I welcomed her with my best fake smile.
I searched dirty dive right in, but may I borrow some money?
Money. As soon as she placed her things in her room, she asked me to lend her money. I was astounded by her bluntness.
Right, I've been seeing the doctor a lot lately and cost me money. I just need a little bit, please.
How much are you asking?
Around $300 for now.
For medical bills? I guessed it was normal to experience some health issues at her age. I could understand that the bills were easily piling up.
Hey, Rick Brewsterson.
I found six $50 bills in my purse and gave them to her. And then one day, Justin asked me for advice. I felt unrest, wondering if it was something to do with Betty.
I think we should get a new car.
It was so unexpected that I almost fell out of the chair.
What do you mean? I bought a car 2 years ago. I sent her up a session.
It's too small. I sent her a bill. I think you should get a bigger one. Heart.
It didn't matter if it was big or small. It was for the two of us, or three if we included Betty. Why did he well into what you succeed? Why did he care how big it was?
My mom doesn't like it.
Hey, I get it. I don't get it.
I wondered why she complained about a car that had nothing to do with her.
She wants a luxurious car like a Mercedes.
And Nancy Bell's track is?
I was totally lost.
What nonsense. We can't afford such a car.
Who has the money to change a car for such a lame reason? Did Betty even have a driver's license?
My dad will not buy an expensive car. I doubt digest me for my whip and tea.
I rejected his suggestions at the drop of a hat. It wasn't apparent to me at that time why she cared about the car. And once again, Betty asked me for money.
My medical bills got more expensive, and I'm behind with payments. Can you help me again?
Why should I be concerned about your health?
I asked her. She paused for a while and replied,
But really, I just felt a bit depressed and have a hard time falling asleep. Oh, sleep. The therapist is quite expensive. Sure, Bashan. I'm really sorry.
I mean, let's nurse about it. Oh, if that's the case, how much do you need?
About for 9,000 for now.
$1,000. Us precocity.
I shrieked. I didn't know much about therapy, but it sounded too expensive.
I'm Kari. I'm Mail to Meyer. My insurance pays in full only for a limited number of sessions or buy. We in Morgantown. My insurance pays in full only for a limited number of sessions, and then I have to take up half of the charge.
I see. Hold on, I'll get it by tomorrow. I was shocked by the amount, but I forcibly tried to understand. There must have been tests and whatnot that cost a lot. Even after that, she used likely excuses such as medical bills and transportation fees to visit her sick friends to borrow more money from me. When I realized the amount had exceeded $5,000, even if my job was successful, I was getting fed up. And then I noticed something strange. I took a sneak peek at Betty's room one day. What the BUXies? There were designer bags and wallets that were placed neatly on the wall shelf. I was flabbergasted by the sight. How come she had those luxurious items? She borrowed so much money from me, yet she owned so much expensive stuff. I became suspicious about the medical bills. A month later, Betty came to me for money again.
Who's Millie about money?
She asked, as a matter of fact, without guilt. Can you please wait? I planned to interrogate her at the right moment, so I called Justin, who seemed to be doing nothing. I want to take this opportunity to ask you, Betty. What are you using the money for?
Wait, what's going on, Melly?
Justin had no clue about what I was asking his mother.
Paid on my therapy sessions, prescriptions, and...
Ugh, she mumbled. Not only those, right? You've been buying designer clothes, bags, and other things, haven't you? Are you really seeing the therapist?
Buys too auspicy, Burkest.
Then please show me the receipts. You must have them, right?
And he weaves bot resters while tame from...
When I harshly cornered her with the blunt question, she couldn't say anything more. I realized that she wasn't spending the money on her well-being, but on something else.
Basic. Oczubasisek, wait is this, my fraction? What are you guy talking about?
Justin was still confused. Betty was squandering the money she borrowed from me. It's more than $5,000, you know.
So you're being too aggressive. I can speak to her in a nicer way.
He had a soft spot for his mom. In other words, he was a mama's boy.
I don't have receipts. I was shopping and eating out with my friends.
She confessed at last. I was thinking how relaxed you seem, even though you supposedly had no money. Besides, you didn't seem so depressed. If it was online, please pay me back right now.
She shaked at me with pleading eyes. Wait, I can't hook up with such an amount right away.
I've had enough already. So I pointed at her room and said, "You got so much designer stuff in your room. This or sell them all. Otherwise, please move out." To which the mama's voice said,
Hey, you so one-sided. She does a little luxury, too. Shit.
he came to her rescue. Ain't. I wouldn't call squandering money you borrowed a luxury. $5,000 is down the drain.
I mean, be it respectful. I'll see that. I'll be so arrogant just because you're paying the rent here. If you're not happy with this, you get out.
Ain't. Such nonsense. I was reaching the boiling point that steam was about to come out of my ears. I glared at him furiously. Did I say anything wrong? You created the cause by bringing Betty here in the first place. You do nothing but be lazy at home. Thanks to whom do you think you can live in such a nice place? I snapped at him.
You're so condescending that it's so infuriating. Like a heck then, to vulnerable knowledge, because
But rage had taken over him. I see. Don't regret it. I packed up only the necessary things and left the apartment. I found a new place right away. I was a remote worker so that I could do my job from wherever I lived. I wasn't obsessed about living in the high-rise as long as my living space was comfortable. Well, what to do next? I had no intention to go back to that place anymore. The rent had been paid monthly by me. I assumed that Justin had no interest in taking over. Even if he wanted, it was impossible to pay with his paycheck. My income was much more than his. I went to consult with a realtor who had helped me before.
It's becoming very hard to pay the monthly rent due to personal reasons.
I could actually afford it, but I intentionally lied.
I'm sorry to hear that. What would you like to do?
So I asked him for a favor.
One day, I got a call from Justin while I was working. And a question.
what do you mean? What you done? I was told to move out because the lease was canceled.
Yes, I asked the property agent for permission to break the lease.
You know, I don't live there anymore, so I have no reason to pay the rent. Don't you even get that?
Listen, is that my mom and I still live here?
Breachers, what nonsense. I was amazed and let out a sigh.
I don't live there, so why should I keep taking care of the apartment? If you're in trouble, you should consult your mom and maybe resell her things to get some money.
I said in a sarcastic tone.
Shoppers, you bossed her. It was you who wanted to live in a high-rise.
If you don't want to move, why don't you take over the lease yourself? Wait, I guess you can't afford it with your salary.
He must have been frustrated that he couldn't come up with his next argument.
You know, you must be able to afford a shabby apartment, so go find it and move in with your mom.
Are you crazy? My mom's already spent the money from the sales of her house, and I have no savings. How will you like me to find a new place?
Just none of my business. He had depended on my income for the most part. And how come he still had no savings? I acknowledged the debauchery of the mother and the son.
You deserve it for being foolish for a long time. Figure it out yourself from now on.
Are you being asked to be heartless? You're still my wife.
I told you, find somewhere else to live. Anyway, I'm done with you. Goodbye.
Jums, I hung up on him. My phone rang again a few minutes later. It was Betty.
Yes,
I'm really sorry. I will pay you back, so please don't kick us out.
She pleaded in tears. I was astonished and sad.
I don't want to give a lesson to an older person, but you know you should live within your means. If you only have a little retirement, you try to live accordingly. If you want a higher standard, you have to work.
As a freelancer, I understood the harsh reality. If I wanted a certain level of lifestyle, I must work hard to earn a level of money instead of relying on someone.
It's all my fault. I spissed the chiz. I apologize.
Please don't let us be on the street.
I'm sorry, but that apartment has already been leased by someone else. You really do need to move out. This is a regulatory matter.
I turned her down and hung up the call. Later on, I heard from the realtor that Justin and Betty begged him to keep the lease in tears. However, he told them that a new tenant was moving in soon and they needed to leave. I supposed even if they continued living there, Justin's salary would have been used up by the rent, and they couldn't have afforded anything else. And to begin with, it was total nonsense to keep me, who was paying the rent out while he was relying on me. He had upset me by letting his temper flare, which resulted in the point of no return. Such an idiot. I heard all the rest of their story from people who knew them, that they were unable to rent an apartment and were moving from a motel to a motel. That was because he had no money to pay the broker fee and deposit, and no one wanted to be his guarantor. As for the guarantor, he could have used his service, but a broker fee and deposit had to be prepared by him. Betty had worked only for a short time, so that her social security didn't pay much. They were even struggling to eat. They brought all this upon themselves. On my side, I managed to get another big project and become financially more comfortable. When I look back on our marriage, I learned that being dependent on one or the other is not sustainable, in terms of both money and lifestyle. In terms of both money and leaving it all up to your partner or being dependent on your partner, it will cause you tremendous pain. As a side note, Justin and I were separated for a while and finally divorced at the end. After all that, our feelings for each other cooled off and we didn't have a reason to stay married. Well, now that we are strangers, I'm feeling relieved. If I am to marry again, I need to be more discerning. I'll take my time to find the right partner. The divorce taught me many different perspectives on life.